Hello, my name is Nathaniel Cochrane, and I'm here to talk about my life up to this point. I was born January 23rd, 1970, and it's been a hard life. But somehow I managed to persevere. I'll start with the earliest memories that I have. And this story is going to go all over the place. And I'm not too sure who I'll be at the time as well, too. I'll still be me. But I might be young me, I might be the regular me, I don't know. But like I said, I'm starting when I'm 3 years old. When I was 3 years old, something happened to me that began a journey that led up to today. I was with my sister, and we were playing, imitating adult life. But apparently something I did upset my grandma very much, to the point where she beat me with a wooden spoon. And in her temperament, I died. So I knew that one day I'm there. Next thing I know, I'm on the edge of nowhere. And the Lord come to me. He says, "Nathaniel, my son, what are you doing here?" I said, "My grandma got mad at me, and she hit me with a wooden spoon. And then I don't know what happened after that. Now I'm here. Well, I'm going to have to teach that young girl a lesson." But me being 3 years old, I couldn't understand at the time. I said, "I'm 3 years old. She's grandma's age. And you're God. You guys are almost the same. I don't see how she could be a young girl." But it wasn't for me to question the Lord. He said, "Let me tell you what. I got this journey for you. It's going to be hard. But I'll be with you there. Every step of the way." I said, "It looks pretty hard. But if you're going to be there, I'll do it." So he said, "Okay," and came back. And that was my first journey. Well, then I realized how many near-death experiences was related to that. I don't even know how many near-death experiences I have. I'll get lost in the stories. I try to count. So I figure I must as well just start with that. See how many it goes. So now we come to when I'm 4 years old. And situation with my parents is very volatile. But I don't see any of that. And one day, my dad has to go downtown and take care of some business, and my mom wanted somebody to go with him, and I volunteered. So I was 4 years old, and I went with my dad, and we went to go downtown and pay some bills and take care of whatever needed to be taken care of. Sure, business got taken care of. But then my dad stopped by the bar and had a drink. Obviously, I couldn't go. I had to sit by the restaurant and wait. And that's how it did. I don't know how long that happened, but When I thought we were done, we ended up just going to somewhere else. Then I got lost in the time. And all of a sudden my uncle shows up. So, what are you doing here? And he grabbed me by the hand and he wanted to take me. I said, no, I came here with my dad. I don't want to go without my dad. I came here with my dad. Get my dad and then we'll go. So he says, okay, wait. He's gone. And he comes back. And he says, okay, come on. Your dad's waiting for you. Let's go. I said, oh, well, okay, good. I was getting so tired. And he says, yeah, your dad's just waiting. Let's go. You need the washroom? I said, yeah, I need the washroom. So we went to the washroom, and there's a lot of washrooms there, but he wanted to go in the same washroom with me. I said, well, okay. And then when it came time to me using the washroom, he says, take your pants down all the way. He says, I know how, but it's okay. I need the washroom, so I'll do that anyways. So I'm done with my business, and then I hear my uncle say, well, now it's my turn. Then he assaulted me. First he put himself in my mouth. It got to a point where I couldn't talk or anything, and he just smacked me upside the head and said, don't bite. Then I heard somebody else coming in, but he just muffled my voice, turned me around, told me to shut up, keep quiet. I couldn't do anything. And when that person was gone, he continued. What happened next was, I don't know. I said, no. All I could say was I didn't need to poo. I didn't need to poo. But he assaulted me that way as well, too. And by then, it was all done. I was just so broken. And when he was done, he picked me up and carried me out, went around back, placed me in the garbage can, and turned my head and almost tried killing me. I almost died there too. But as it happened, so when the guy from the restaurant came out and threw his garbage out, he sees my uncle, says, hey, what are you doing? And my uncle says, nothing, and walked away. Oh, broken? Left for dead. That guy, it's full of shit, kid. Where do you live? So I gave him my grandma's address. And he knew about my dad, where he was. So he grabs a cab, puts me in the cab, goes grab my dad, says you're cut off, puts my dad in the cab, gives the cab driver money and says the address and just take him home. And I don't know what happened after that, but It's the second time I went to the Lord. The angels are waiting for me that time. I asked what I wanted. And I remember hearing how the Lord cried. And I wanted to see those tears. The angels looked at each other and were hesitant at first. And they came to a decision, and they showed me this ocean of tears. It's a vast ocean. I looked at that and I thought, somewhere in that ocean there's tears that the Lord cried for me. But the angel said, no, it's not entirely true. We couldn't show it to you because it was just so vast. What you see before you were the tears that the Lord cried for you. That was so healing. Just wash myself in that. I began healing there. And then they asked if I wanted anything else. After a while, and I mentioned, well, I like numbers. And like that scene out of The Matrix when they said guns. And all that thinking not with guns. It was just like that, except it was scrolls. And I just seemed like in the scrolls. And they showed me numbers. Well, I became engrossed in that until it was time for me to come back. When I came back, I was at the doctor's office, the hospital, I guess, I don't know. But because of what happened, there was nothing the doctors could do to calm my nerves. I was just a mess, screaming, yelling, unable to control myself or anything. I had no trust, no faith in nobody. So the only thing the doctors could do is sedate me and hypnotize me and act like nothing ever happened. So, longest time, not until last year actually, that I realized I was hypnotized to forget that day. That was such a hard day. And all growing up as well too from that point on. And when I came back, I was just screaming incoherently and I couldn't talk. And I refused to talk, or I couldn't talk, I don't know. But for a while there, it was my younger sister who was my voice for me. And it was her who found my voice as well too. She says, I know you could talk. You just gotta get around to it. You just say my name and just start talking again, because I'm not always going to be here for you. So eventually I did start talking again. Holly became Hall. Paloma became Pam. Mom, Dad. And that's where brother. I couldn't say his name. I couldn't say that R sound with Daryl. It was hard for me at that point. So I struggled with his name. So when I tried saying his name, and it only came out Dale. It's Dale. And he says, it's Daryl. Dale. Okay, fine. You could say Dale. Anybody else? I'm going to punch him. But it took me a long time. But eventually I got around to saying Daryl, but it was growing up, it was Dale. So that was that. In grade 2. The brilliance of what I learned started showing. So the teachers wanted somebody to do an assessment. So they scheduled it for a Monday. And on the weekend, well, at that time my parents were separated. And I was going to different school. I lived right across the street. Like literally right across the street from that school. And that weekend before that assessment, we were staying with our mom. Our mom had custody of us. And my dad came by to visit. And I thought it was a good day. Started out a good day. Then all hell broke loose. My parents were sitting there playing cribbage. And there was a side door that's, I guess you could call a back door. And my mom's boyfriend came knocking. And my dad said, we're busy, and just slammed the door on him. And then that's when all hell broke loose. I don't know the time frame with that, but being in grade 2, and being born in January 1970, could make that age, the years. My stories go around the grades, not the years. I get lost in the years. But, yeah, they got into a big fight. It got to the point where my mom's boyfriend was just on top of my dad. My dad was on the floor, and he was getting the life choked out of him. You could see blood there and everything. And that's when 911 was supposed to be incorporated. We're taught at school, if you have problems, phone 911 and the police will come. So I phone 911 and I say, we need help. My dad's getting killed. But the operator was prejudiced. Says, 911 is supposed to be for white people. If your dad's a wagon burner, he probably deserves it. Good calling here. I said, but my dad's in trouble. So if you call here again, I'm going to send the police down there and arrest you for harassing us. So I got no help from 911. It wasn't until after that that 911 finally switched around to having recordings. So people like that can't get away with that. So now we come to that assessment. I'm doing okay. I get asked normal questions, plus, minus, and I do that without no problems. Then they ask me multiplication, and I could do that too. Then they ask me about squares and square roots, and I get that up to 15. Then they ask about cube roots and quad roots and fifth roots. But at that time, I'm saying, well, it's almost recess. So I put that on the burner and I want to do my recess. But that teacher was unaware of all that I went through the previous weekend and how much stress I was under. Now I was looking forward to just relaxing with that recess and get everything in focus. But he denied me my recess. He says, you got to do this. Don't expect any shortcuts or anything like that. And I lost it. I don't know what happened as a result of that, but I just gave up at that point. I gave up on school at that point, I guess. Just going through the process. Being more aware of the surroundings rather than what's being taught. So now we go on to custody. And during that process, we get put in foster care. Me and my brother were together and my sisters were together, but we weren't all together. Me and my brother ended up going to some place just north of Winnipeg. And our school was East St. Paul. Our foster parents there were white, racist, and ignorant. They played with their mask in front of people who gave them the money. But when it was just us, we seen who they were without the mask, and they were just treating us miserably. So we ran away, of course. And their dog followed us. We did try telling that dog to stay home, but he kept on following us. And we found the tracks led south, and we followed those tracks into Winnipeg, and it came up to Templeton. And that's where we knew where we were, and made our way to our auntie's house, which was just across the street right here. She lived on Aberdeen. That's when 7-Eleven was still available. She lived at 447 Aberdeen. Walked in there like nothing's wrong. Said, hey, Auntie, how's it going? We're just on our way home. Do you got any bus fare? And she gave us something to eat and gave us some bus fare. And then we were on our way. And we made it back home. Well, to our dad's at that point, and he stayed at Pacific Avenue in Weston area. And we go ahead, make it home, and had some supper. And the police came knocking and told us we weren't supposed to be there, and took us back. And the foster family said, okay. And they took us back. But after all was said and done, they got mad at us because we lost their dog. When they took us back out, they drive around back in this area all night looking for their dog. So that's what happened with that. That's just one example of what we had to put up with. Yeah, that's another story. So eventually, going from there, my dad won custody. And now we're staying at our dad's place in Pacific, going to Cecil Road School. Now we come across another time. I go ahead and summertime, we had bikes. And on Pacific Avenue, we set up ramp. Because at the time there was Evel Knievel on TV, and that was neat, doing jumping and all that. So hey, I could do that. So we set up ramps and started jumping ramps. So I set up this big ramp, and I go 3 long blocks down the road, giving myself speed. And I hit the ramp and I go flying. And I swear you could put a van underneath there a long way, and that's how far I jumped there. But when I landed, I could have nearly killed myself because like the down ramp was just way off. It was over here, and I landed over there, and I landed like on all fours. But when I landed like hard with my handlebars, and I landed like on my pedals. My pedals twisted in, taking all that heat, or taking all my weight. And when I landed on my seat, you could see that like it's pushed up, like the seat's down, but it stayed. But you could see the bar just almost poking out. It was just that close. That's how close I came to dying again. Another near-death experience. Crazy kid. But yeah, I took responsibility on that. I tried fixing my own pedals without telling my dad. Eventually I needed new pedals, and he didn't know why. He just replaced them. He just... So that was another one. Well, last time I was talking about that bike, but I never got around to how I got it. So I'll go along with that, because like I'm gonna have to do some backtracking now. So it turns out that one morning I was over at my grandma's house, and it was the afternoon, and what happened was is that they're watching their show, so go play in the front yard. So I go do that, and I happened to look across like on the road, something shiny. So oh yeah, I'm not supposed to go out, but I went out and I seen, and it was a dime, And at 4 years old, 10 cents is a lot of money. So, and back then too, 1974. That actually, I saw myself, not all the candies, I saw myself buying a canned drink. But that was across the street on Logan Avenue. There was a laundromat there. And it was one of those old fashioned canned drinks where they had those 2 circles. You pushed a little one and a big one, So the pop open they got today. So I wanted that. It was an orange drink. So it's in the afternoon, and it's actually turns out to be rush hour on Logan Avenue, So I'm 4 years old. I got the grills right here, and I'm looking both ways, and sure, it's no problem, So the traffic stopped, and I see that I could go. Let's just go. So I start running, But sure enough, look both ways. It doesn't matter. Like there's always gonna be a curve in life. That's how it turned out to be. Like car comes over, like coming off from Salter or Isabel, comes turning off and just wanted to go ahead and beat the traffic lights as well too. And he goes zooming along and hits me, and I go flying. And like I felt the angels catch me and just hug me and told me how to land. Put your feet out in front of you and put your hands beside yourself. So I did that. And then what happened was is that when I landed on my like a little bit to this way, and I cracked my wrist. So I had a broken arm, and like I was all nervous and everything. I didn't want to tell anybody because I did something I wasn't supposed to do, so I kept that to myself. And like I didn't know my arm was broken at the time, So I'm just holding it like that, and later on it just gets all green and puffy, and my sister pokes it, and I just pass out, And like I find out later what happened, So I got a cast and everything, and the doctor says that it broke 75%, and if it broke a little bit more, it would have just been a lump, So I got lucky on that part. So yeah, a little 10 cents, and I ended up getting hit by a car, and that's yeah. I went off again, another near death experience, and so the ending result of that is that I don't know what happened with regards to financials, but I ended up having a bike. So that's how I got my bike, and then that's how that story came into be as well too. So yeah, and that was another story. So that was good. Just growing up. So that puts me back at grade one, grade one. And then what happened there with my learning, that was at grade two, and then the bikes, that was grade three. So yeah, now we're into grade four, and now we're starting to jump around. So we're going from Pacific, and then we go into that's when we ended up into the foster care, and we ended up in East St. Paul for a while, and stayed there for a winter. And it was about March, yeah, about this time, March 20th and such, that we got transferred out of there, and then yeah, we got hooked up with my dad and stayed with my dad for a while. And then he found his sobriety, and he went towards XKLA, and while he was doing that, we went to go live with our aunties for a while. So she took care of us, and I was over at Johnson Avenue, so I was going to Lower Seacourt. Excuse me. And over there, that's when my math skills came into focus again. And, the teaching style was different from what I was learning, so like I had a different learning process, and the way they were teaching was just they're a different way of teaching. So, but as it turned out, there was a book that came out at the time, and it was a math book. It was like a math adventure type thing, So we started going through it, But then there was a mistake in there, and then like when you got a mistake at the beginning of the book, it kind of just destroys the book. So I seen that, and I remember that, and going through all that. That was that was my grade four. I was okay then too as well. So yeah. So then grade five, we go over to start living with our dad in XKLA. So that's when they had that. They had that family adventure. Well, family room there. Stayed at the basement floor there. Did a lot of learning over there as well too. One day, my dad taught me like to respect your elders, And one day I'm climbing that school, like there's the XKLA, and then there's a French immersion school like right in front of it there. So one Sunday I'm climbing, like there's like back out of the back of the school. I climb up to the roof, and then they got that gym roof. So like you got this roof, and then you got the gym roof that's up here, And the only thing you wake up there is like those little things there. So I was acting like Spider-Man, and I just climbed up to the top of that one as well too, And I got caught by somebody, and then I says, "Get down from there." He says, "You're not my dad, But he told me to get down from there, and like, yeah. So I had to go ahead, like, yeah, I was disciplined regardless, and I was put into a corner, and of course I learned from that. So yeah, sometimes you learn the hard way, but yeah. But climbing up there and then climbing back down, it was just like precarious, and like I look at that now, and it's just crazy idiot. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and there's a lot of memories in there as well too, and they'll probably come back to me later, but I don't know. Yeah, there were some good times in there as well too. in grade five. Yeah, that's when we were talking about my teacher there. How we're doing the Trivial Pursuit type thing, eh? And we had the team, we had the school split, our class split in halves, and then it came to my question, and it was on the tip of my tongue. Eh? It says some countries have Hollywood, and some countries have Bollywood, and for film production, eh? Does Canada have one? And if so, what's it called? Eh? And it was at the tip of my tongue, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's those vignettes. Remember those things you see in commercials all the time? And then he says, "Time's up," and he says, National Film Board of Canada, correct. So yeah, yeah, brilliance, like sparks of brilliance come to me like at times like that. Eh? So like I could talk about stories, and like each year, and teachers would say, "Yeah, I remember that guy and how the potential he has." Eh? Like they seen the potential in me, but they also seen like they didn't see what was underneath. Like they couldn't understand at the time. And at the time, I didn't have the expression or the wording to go ahead and express my understanding towards them as well too. Right? So yeah, I understood, but and I understood where they were coming from, but I just couldn't get the expressions across properly. So I just did my own thing. So yeah, that was a wonderful time too. So where am I now? So ex-Calais grade 10. Grade 10, that's the first time I realized about sobriety in itself. Because growing up, celebrations and New Year's, and I remember people drinking all that time. And then grade, like when I was aware that's Calais, okay, it's New Year's, and I see the celebration kind of happening, like it's more geared towards like chips and drink and pop and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, oh, for me, that's great, hey? But like it was just generally quiet around there, and I didn't understand that. Eh? So then yeah, it's just the thing that was missing was the alcohol. And so I didn't know people lived like this too. Eh? So yeah, living without that alcohol and like being aware of that. Eh? So yeah, so I started becoming more aware of that as well too, and like choosing that lifestyle instead of just living with that lifestyle. Eh? So that was a turning point for me as well too. Grade 10. I mean, 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old. I have turning points. I said goodbye to the 80s, like, yeah, but that's going ahead of myself. But yeah, so that was fun there too. So that was ex Calais. And after ex Calais, we moved to Garden City. And I had some fun out there. That was 1980. We just went to the movies. We're still $1.25. So we did our own work. We were always independent. Whenever we needed money, we'd go do the shoveling when it was winter, or stuff like that to keep us busy, keep us focused. Like we earn our own money, and we used to push the bikes too at the Dickie D. So that was a little bit later when we were geared towards that. But yeah, we always found our own way of funding ourselves. So yeah, so grade six, we're in there, and that's when my sister really came into herself, and she was just wondering like, why are we holding back? And then so I don't know, just like me and her were like peas in a pod, eh? So and then she became like herself, and she was just like out there, and everybody, like she was like outgoing and friendly and just saying hi to everybody, and not saying no to anything, or like not she was like a unsinkable Molly Brown type deal, because she was always out there, and she'd never take anything like when anybody tried to put her down or something like that. She'd say no. She'd turn around and throw it back at you. So yeah, that's who she became. She really came into herself at that time, and I love her and I miss her. Jeez. But yeah, those are good times as well too. One time I was another time when I drifted off. It was just completely on my own accord. I was just like mad and sulking at myself. So I went up to my room and I just lied down and laid still, and I just turned everything off, turned everybody off, and I felt myself floating away, and And I was gone again, and but this time I had that invisible cord that was connected to me, and as I was going, I could see others doing that as well too. I could see other spirits flying, and I could see the cords connecting to them as well too. And then when I looked this way, I saw like this one black gentleman, and he was looking back at me as well too, and we kind of connected spiritually, and he was going his own destiny, and I was going mine. But and I ended up finding myself being so. Oh no, I guess I was mad at myself or mad at the world or something. But I ended up digging a hole. I dug a hole, and then I started like digging around like a little worm, eh? And I just kept on going down, and like at some point I just like stopped and I sat there and I sulked. And then, like I felt the Lord coming at that time as well too. Like He was shining, like right at the top there, right where I started digging my hole, and He was asking what I was doing, eh? And kind of told him I was mad and sulking and stuff. And He said, "Well, there's nothing to be mad about." And He asked me to come out. So I came back out, and by the time I came back up and got out of that hole, that's when I came back to myself. And then, like, I felt myself all refreshed again, eh? So that was a different experience as well too. So that was another experience, and that was in grade 6. And in grade 7, yeah, grade 7 was a interesting time as well too. There was one time I could sum it up to going out to a field trip. It was seems to be always around this time, right when things are just starting to warm up and stuff. Eh? So we had a field trip and we went to the Museum of Man and Nature, and we go out there and we have a good time like there with the students and such. But it was a trip back that was memorable. Eh? It was well immemorable, I guess. But we were on the 18 bus, eh? So the Jefferson, because we were going to Jefferson. I was going to Jefferson School at the time, back when it was Jefferson Junior High and Gordon Bell, two different schools, eh? And a little band shack in the back. But now it's just one Gordon City Collegiate. Now I don't know when that happened, but yeah, that was when I was like, there's two different schools. But yeah, so we were coming back, and then I'm sitting there, and then I see my mom and my mom's boyfriend get on the bus, eh? And I was about to get up and say hi, and like I'm excited to see my mom, eh? But my teacher tells me to sit down, and like okay, like I'm just gonna, and I just wave to her, eh? And then by the time the bus turns on whatchamacallit off Main and goes down Jefferson, there she gets off the bus and goes does her own thing, eh? And I'm trying to wave by and stuff like that, eh? But then one of my stupid classmates looks at my mom and says, "Oh, look at her! What an ugly boot!" So, of course, I lost it, and I just started. I grabbed him and I threw him around, and like I said, "That's my mom, man." And he sees I'm mad at him, and he knows what's coming down, eh? So like I'm just getting all riled up, and I'm just throwing them around, and like I am to this point right here, and I go like this, and I see him, and I see myself, and I've seen this situation before, and like when I seen him, like I seen his scared face and everything, and he was wearing braces as well too, so I took everything into consideration, and I said, "You're lucky I'm not my brother or my sister, because they would have beat the living hell out of you," and I was just that close, but I restrained myself. And it took a lot, but yeah, and it was pretty quiet after that. Like even the bus driver just stopped for a sec and was just sitting there and said, "Move." And then the bus started moving again, and everything just went on its normal way. But yeah, so I guess that's kind of why like I never had any problems with regards to people saying things or like teasing each other and stuff like that. I guess that kind of like always washed off on me. It never bothered me, and I guess stuff like that I never even noticed going on with others, eh? So I kind of had immunity to that. So I'm kind of lucky in that regard. Because like I had enough going on to worry about the other classmates bugging me or teasing me and stuff like that. So I was glad in that respect. So that was grade 7. In grade 8, and I made impressions on my teacher as well too. They could see that So there was one time in science class, I walk in just like a couple minutes late, and he's going on with the class, and he's talking about focus. And he says, you could get your eyes to focus on anything if you give yourself a chance. I said, no, you can't. And then he challenged me. He said, are you sure? I said, well, yeah. I said, prove it. I said, well, my mom's soap. And then the other students are laughing at me. I said, no, 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 think about it. When they're talking right there, and then you see somebody in the background, and then they focus on that person in the background, and then everything over here gets out of focus. And no matter what you do, you try to focus your eyes, that'll stay out of focus. So I told that to the teacher, and I said, that was my reasoning behind why you can't do that. He says, well, yeah, you're right. And then he went on with the teachings as well, too. So, and he saw my potential as well, too. Like him, my math teacher, my other science teachers, they always see the potential, but they could never understand why I just couldn't get past that point. And yeah, so now I'm understanding why as well too. So yeah, that was grade 8. In grade 9, I was over in Tech Voc. And yeah, I had my heartbreak the first time as well too. That was fun. Like I seen this one girl, we'd say hi to her every day, and then like around this time, I get the courage to go ahead and find out what she's up to. So it's she shows me like she's getting a transfer from one class to another. So she gets the paperwork filled out, and she shows me that. So I didn't pay any attention to that. I just caught her last name. So okay, now I got her last name. And then when we were going home on the buses, and like, okay, I'll see you later. I said, I live over here, and where do you live? And she gives me her street address. So, okay, so I got her last name, and now I got her street address. And I put the two together, and I look up in the phone book, and spring break, I go ahead and give her a call, and it says, would you like to go out with me? It says, well, I already have a boyfriend. He says, oh, so, okay. Well, yeah, that was my first heartbreak too. So that was enjoyable. So that was grade 9. And then yeah, and my teachers all saw the potential in me in there as well too, and that was wonderful as well too. But one thing I seem to have glossed over again too is when I found the Lord, and that was I was in during camp back in 77, 78. We were going to Bible camp, and doing all that stuff, Bible activities, Bible school activities, and one activity we get on a trip and we go to the waterfalls. It was I was at Red Rock Camp, with the Calvary Temple. So yeah, we went out there, and then they were saying you should bring 2 bathing suits and stuff like that, and I never understood that until after the fact. So we go out there, we have our fun, and then when we're on our way back, I got hold of my bathing suit, and somebody behind me is making fun of me, and they start throwing rocks at me and trying to make a little target practice. So that gets me all riled up, and I start chasing somebody I think is responsible for that. So I just get more and more riled up. And then by the time I couldn't catch anybody, I'm just standing there and I scream out like, I'm going to beat the living hell out of somebody. So that kind of took the somber mood out of the whole experience. So it was a quiet ride on the way back, even though it was supposed to be having fun. So at the end of the day, like when there was service in the evening, I really felt remorseful. So I went up to the whatchamacallit at the end of the service, and I made my apologies to everybody there. And then afterwards, I stayed and then I prayed, and I asked the Lord to just like help me and guide me. And that's the first time I felt the Lord come back into me. So yeah, even though we always in talking terms, like in one way or another, but that was the first time I really spoke to him, and I really felt him enter my heart, and that was a wonderful experience as well too. I got glad I went out there. So yeah, the hardships were very hard, but same with the good times. The good times are really good too. But yeah, I've had so many near-death experiences that I keep on getting lost in the stories, Because like that's still back then, and there's still like other times too. Because I could jump around, and like it's just hard for me to maintain the focus when it comes to that. So yeah, grade 9, and even after that, yeah, when I went to Elmwood in that time as well too. That was after Garden City. Yeah, after Garden City, after junior high, we went to Elmwood and we stayed on Union Avenue. And I had another near-death experience that I never was even aware of. But one day I'm taking a bath and I got a radio connected to a cord. So I got it all set up and I like my bath, so I got soaking them in it. So like I got the radio right behind me, but it's like hooked up. The way I got it to, but like the bathroom's right here, and then there's a wall there, but there's a little space in between, eh? So I put my radio right there, so like any tipping could just fall right in there, and there I go away. But I put a little wedge in there, so I got like it's kind of like leaning like this. So so I was kind of like lucky at that point. If I didn't have that wedge, it would just spin in there, and it, so if I didn't have that wedge, so yeah, that's another one right there too. And, by the time I'm soaking in there and there's traffic going by and that radio is kind of bouncing, so yeah, you're really pushing my luck. Just crazy. Like I think about that. That was 1985. So yeah, that's where it puts me. I say that because I had a friend of mine who was born in 1985, and when she said that, I said, yeah, well, yeah, 1985. I almost died that year. Like I'm always dying, almost nearly dying somewhere. And then there was another time when I was staying there across from Dufferin when I was in grade two. I always used to make tea. So one time I come in and I was gonna make tea, and like we had family there, and then someone said tea. So okay, I'll make it, and I grabbed it. No, and they said no, it's already made, but I didn't hear it. And I and then grabbed it, and I didn't know it was full, and it was hot, and it spilled it all over me, and off to the doctors I go again. So and then another time there was when staying at North End, right by William White, when it was the old school, not the new school, eh? So that's how long ago that was. And the new school, there was just like the pipes you could still see on the playground. So they were getting ready to build a new school, but the old school is still there, and I was still going to the old school. So what happened one time there was that there were some kids in the street, and we were in our house, and we were just arguing back and forth. And one of them picks up a flat can. It got run over, and it's just a flat tin can, and throws it at the door, throws it like in the general direction, eh? And of course, it goes flying this way and that way, and it goes right through that door jam. Like it just opened that much, and just knocks me right in the head. It just hits me right there. It cuts me open. It's just sitting there, and my mom's out working, and my auntie was and uncle was taking care of us at the time. So I was lying down with that thing, and then it wasn't until about 10:30, 11 o'clock that my mom came home, and then we went out to the hospital, and there we go again. So that's another experience. I mean, like, yeah, there's lots of experiences. And when that happened, like, I was in a delirious state as well, too, so I was in and out. But yeah, I pulled through that one as well, too. Uh, so, so that puts me at 15 years old, back and forth. So, yeah. And after that, yeah, after the heartbreak, that happened over at Tech Voc, and then I put myself in out of there. And by the time that's when I had my own choices of school. So I went over to Kildonan East because we were staying on Keenly side at the time as well too. So I went over to Keenly side, and I went over to Kildonan East, and I was doing my studying there. And that's when the shuttle came down as well too. So I remember that day. Like I had no classes in the morning until my art class, and that was about 11 o'clock. So I was taking my time, and then I see all that happening, and so so I walked to school with that on my mind, eh? And that was pretty much Colonial East. And I learned about debating over there as well too. They had debate setups over there, debate week. That was yeah, I enjoyed my time there as well too. And my teachers there as well too. Some good teachers there. But yeah, so yeah, Colonial East was great, but That's about the same time when my dad passed away. So, a couple of hard years back then, because like I struggled after Kelowna and East. From Kelowna and East, I went back to Tech Voc for a year, and that still didn't work. And then I went to Daniel Mac, but like I was getting more and more depressed all the time, and I couldn't figure out why. And the depression was just building, and I just couldn't understand why. So, and that started affecting my school. So yeah, I went to Kelowna East, and I was looking to graduate, but when my dad passed away in December of '89, '88, I should say. It was like, wow, I was going to be 19 years old. Or was it? Oh, man, like, I know it was December 29th. And I was the one he told that he wasn't going to make it. Because he started getting ill, and then he started getting bedridden, and then he ended up in the hospital. And I used to go visit him in the hospital all the time. And one day, November 20th, I go in there, like, pick up the family allowance. It was back then, it was $35, so it wasn't all that much back then, but it was still something. But yeah, he had that, and I went to go to visit him and pick up the money for the rest of us. And he starts talking about how he's feeling and stuff, and I didn't want to hear it, so I said, "Oh, we'll talk better. We'll talk later when you get out of the hospital." And he says, "So what makes you think I'm going to get out of this hospital?" So I looked at him, and I knew what he was talking about. In his own way, he said he was dying, but he didn't want to say it outright. But I understood. And for all I had been through, he's been there. He's been my dad, and he loved me. He took care of me. And through all of my upbringing, that was one thing you could never talk about. And that was the reason why I was so depressed, is because I could never understand what happened to me when, and why I got depressed at that time. It took me a while to understand my sorrow, but my dad was a rock. I loved him. I'll always love him. But I never held him responsible for what happened. There was nothing to blame. There's nobody to blame. It just happened. But yeah, when my dad passed away, I started getting depressed, and I couldn't understand why. And it affected me for the rest of my life until I understood what happened. So, and all those near-death experiences are just what the Lord said. So sometimes you're gonna find life hard, and if you want to come visit, then yeah, you could visit. So I did more visiting than I imagined. Like I said, I always get caught up in the stories. Excuse me. There's another time too, on a Sunday when my daughter was just a baby. We needed some milk on a Sunday morning, so around this time, I go out to the store. We're staying in the West End, and staying just off of Ellis. I go to the store, 7-Eleven on Ellis and Arlington. That was close for us. So I grabbed my milk and then I'm on my way back home. And usually when it comes to traffic, when the light turns red, I cross. And I expect the traffic to just stop. Like there's a thing like it's called, you know, stop. So I'm getting ready to cross the street because the light turned red. And it turned green for me, and that's for like Ellis is going that way, and that stopped, and then just a small traffic going this way. That's for the green. And I was gonna start turning. I was gonna start walking, but I stopped for some reason, and then zoom right in front of me. This small truck goes right by me and just smashes into the light post, like right across the street. And I don't know what happened to him, but he just lost control or something. He ended up crashing. But if I didn't stop myself, that would have been me on the other side, like in between that crash, eh? So I'm like, there's another one. So somebody was looking out for me that day. Oh man. And another time too, when I was going to Tech Voc, light turns green and getting ready to cross, and I'm the first one to start crossing. I look, and there's this semi coming down at us, and he's just putting the brakes on it, but you could just see that big skid marks just. And then, like I look and then I back up, and I had to go and put my hands back, pull the other kids back as well too, because he goes stop at about 6 feet past. So that was another one as well too. Like all these little ones, but when you put them together, they start adding up. And like when I try to count them, I don't know when that happened. I don't know how this happened, but yeah. But yeah, when my dad passed away, that was just hard for me. And yeah, I pretty much became the head of our family at that time, even though I was the third youngest. I had my older sister, but she's the one that took care of us. And then when the time came, well, it's now my time to take care of them. And my older brothers took care of me in those hard times as well too. Like he put up with all that ridicule that went around with me not being able to say his name right as well too. I guess that's part of the reason why we jumped around is to for like not just for my sake, but for my brother and sister's sake as well too. Because they're the ones who would face ridicule and stuff like that, and they would be defending me, and like I would. I guess that's another reason why growing up with all that teasing going on, it just never affected me because I guess they're the ones watching out for me and taking care of it for me as well too, and I just didn't see it at the time. Even sure.
Hey guys, we're recording, and you're being way too loud. Sorry. Sorry about that.
Sure. So where was I?
About your siblings.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 I guess that's why I was kind of immune to all that growing up, class bullying and all that stuff because they're the ones watching out for me, and I never paid attention to stuff like that. But when it did come to them being directly confrontational to me, then no. There was this one time in Cecil Roads when we were staying out on the West End there when I was talking about that bike. That's there was a incident that happened, and it was in the wintertime. And my so-called friend of mine said, "Do you want to trade boots? Like I just got a fresh set of boots, and they were good boots. You wouldn't slip or anything, eh?" And he said, "Do you want to trade?" And I said, "You could wear these ones. They're a little bit slippery. You could slip and slide and have fun, eh?" For recess. Okay, that sounds like fun. And I gave him his, and he gave me mine. But what he was doing was setting me up. Eh? He was like, pardon my language. What happened was is that his friend ended up wanting to pick a fight with me, and the best way to pick a fight with me is go ahead and keep me off my feet, and like I couldn't keep my feet, like my feet kept on slipping out underneath me, so yeah, we got into a scrap. Then by the time my sister found out about that, like my older sister at the time, she came along and she grabbed him and just holding him back and telling me, Well, go have at it, eh? And I said, okay, hold on a sec. Let me take these stupid boots off. So I take those boots off, and then we started going at it. And then, of course, we get hauled into the office, eh? And so I'm just refraining myself, and yeah, it took a lot of confrontation. Like it took a lot of restraint on my part to hold back, and the principal recognized that as well too. And I was just coming from a place that just you don't expect somebody at my age at that time to be coming from with all that anger and all that pent up frustration. And that student heard that, and he left me alone after that. And word went around after that as well too. So yeah, because yeah, when it comes to me, if I have to take care of myself in that way, then I find a way to go ahead and take care of it and just not be done with it again. So yeah, I never seen bullying or like stuff like that bother me growing up. So yeah, that was a wonderful time too. So I don't know. I'm lost into getting into my teen years and 20s. Yeah, and it's when I first had my son as well too. Growing up and had my firstborn, I just loved him with all my heart, and I loved his mother too, and we had our growing pains as well too, and well, one thing led to another, and then we went our separate ways. But she was my first love, and I always loved her as well too. But she ended up passing away as well too. That happened when happened in '92. My son was 12. No, my son was born in '90, and he was 12. So that happened in 2002. Yeah, I love that woman a lot. Now I'm starting to get lost in my own stories again, lost in my own haze, trying to clear it all up. So 90, yeah, 90, saying goodbye to the 80s. Uh, Literally, okay, 1979, 1980. I'm standing at Excalibur, and I hear the countdown, and I realize, like, okay, this is different. In 1989, 1990, I'm standing at my mom's place, and literally I'm pissing away the 80s. Like I'm in the washroom, I'm hearing the countdown, and that's the way it was. 3, 2, 1, and I'm still going. Happy New Year. So pissed away the 80s. And then I ended up finding $5, $10 in my pocket, and I didn't do nothing with it. We just stood together, like we just did a family thing. But yeah, growing up, I never really was a social person. I was always withdrawn. So when it came to doing school activities, fine, I did that. But when school was over, I just went home, and I never really had a active social life other than with my family. But yeah, and that's the way it was growing up. 90s, I would do my work, do what's expected with work, and then when it came time to relax, I wouldn't go out and socialize. I would just hang back with my family, and we'd be doing movies, playing video games, and just raising my kids, and that's the way it was growing up. And then I'm still having my experiences, and what happened, I'll get to this other time is when I was working, and comes time to getting laid off, and like I'm doing seasonal work, because like I can't do full steady employment because of my depression. So I'm trying to work, so I'm working around my depression, so I find steady work that way. So I'm doing seasonal work. So come winter time, this one time, I get last day of work, I get my paper, I get my check, and I go cash it, and then I head to the bar, and I drink that bar down. Come closing time, I'm just like more than half in the bag. So I throw myself in the cab, and then that was over at International Inn way down on Portage. And by the time I realize where I'm at again, I become more aware. I see that I'm over at Polo Park at this time. So okay, and I see what time it is, and it's well, I closed that part down. That was at 1 o'clock, 1:30. So we're pulling up to whatchamacallit, Palomino. So okay, well just drop me off here instead, and then I get dropped off there, and um, so they're just closing up as well too. So I said, okay, well I just need the washroom, and I went to go use the washroom, and then I went to go try to jump in another cab, but then I get hassled from this cab driver this time, and I didn't want nothing with it, eh? So I just like just do your job, just let me jump in and just drive me home, eh? So instead of him driving me home, there was this other cab driver as well too, seeing what was going on. So they talk with each other, and they said that they set something up, and then he said just opens the cab door and lets me jump in, eh? So I give him my address and where we're at. Instead of him going to where I wanted, was over at 7-Eleven on Notre Dame in Arlington. And he went up and he pulled over off a portage onto not Wall, but the other one. So he's going that way. And then he got to his cab driver buddy coming up behind him, and then they end up pulling up into a parking lot somewhere, and then they take advantage of my drunkenness and they start assaulting me. So I just avoided that situation. I tried walking away from that situation, but he comes up from one of them comes up from behind me with a crowbar and smacks me over the head and just splits my skull wide open. Eh? And then they just leave me there for dead. So I don't know how long I was lying there, but yeah, there I am, just bleeding away again. I don't know how long I was lying there, but I finally come to, and then I pulled myself together, and then I just started walking, and then I get to the 7-Eleven at Ellis in Arlington, and I walk in there looking like I'm looking like that, and can I use a phone? Sure. So I gave my brother a call, and I told him what happened, and he says, okay, well, I'll meet you halfway. And my mom was staying on Beverly, just off of Notre Dame, so it wasn't too far of a walk for him. So he sees what happened, and he says, yeah, you should go to the hospital. I said, I'll just sleep it off. It turns out I had like a 4-inch cut right open on the back of my head, and says, you're lucky. If it moved like a half-inch, quarter-inch to the other side, like over there, it would have hit the soft part of my head, and that would have been like it for me. So, yeah, there's another near death, eh? So I don't know how long I was gone, but I was gone for a while then. But every time I go, I don't remember anything at that time. Only when I was young do I remember. But that's been my life. And it's been a hard life, but it's been an enjoyable life too. But I don't even know where to go on from this point, because that's been like I came here to talk about my near-death experiences, and that's what they were. That's what they were. I don't know how many there have been, but yeah, probably a couple more I can't recall at this time. But who knows? But that's pretty much it. So at this point now, I'm just starting up. Like, now that I know what's going on, now that I know what happened, I can refocus on everything, eh? And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm refocusing on my jobs and my outlook in life, and yeah, I'm getting everything really more concrete, more more of a foundation now that I know exactly what happened and all that in between. That was it. Yeah. It was one lesson for sure. So I'm pretty sure people who could understand and learn from what I've been going through as well too. Because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who had that experience with the whatchamacallit, 911. No, I don't think I talked about how I lost my bike as well too. So yeah, I think I'll just finish off with how I lost my bike. Because sure, after I go ahead and jump it and almost break it, my dad gets new pedals, so I got the new pedals from the Consumers Distributing. Excuse me. And that was fun too. So I get the new pedals and I get the new seat and I get new tires and like I go ahead and just fix it all up again. Eh? So one morning on a Saturday, we're getting ready. Like on weekends, we go walking all over the place, but now we got bikes. We get to go biking all over the place. So before we do anything, my dad says, "Let's go do some shopping." So we get the shopping out of the way. So we go over to counters on Logan. We do our shopping there, and then when the shopping's done, it says like ride your bike on the street. It's not you're not supposed to be riding on the sidewalk. So we're done our shopping, and I'm on the street, and then the lights are still working for some reason. But yeah, red light, green light, it's working, and I'm waiting there for the red light, and like Logan's going back and forth, and then this truck comes to pull up. This company truck comes and pulls up, and what happens was is that he didn't want to wait for the light to turn green, and I'm sitting there, and he's sitting there, and he's turning, but he doesn't care what he's doing, so he just turns and he just runs over me. And my foot, like my pedal's right there, and then my foot gets caught underneath the back wheel, and then it gets bent right over and rips my rips my leg open. And I got this scar right there, and I'm lying there. I'm nearly dying, and that truck just kept on going. Just didn't care about anything. He didn't even know I was there. Like whatever. So I'm lying there and I'm just bleeding. And this guy comes along and he starts helping us out. Because like my dad's a little bit what do I do type moment. Just lost in the moment. But somebody else was there at the time, luckily, and he took care of the situation. Took off his jacket and tied it up and told him to call an ambulance and got help right away. So I'm lying there and then I hear an ambulance and the guy says, "Oh, it's the police." And then the police just keep on driving by and they're just trying to wave down the police, "Hey." But they're just driving by and I guess they had something else to do and that guy got kind of mad. But eventually the ambulance came up and they helped me and they fixed the situation and I get operated on. But yeah, the operator there too, I died because they're operating on me and then um, I'm there and then I look at the I look at the operator, the surgeon, and I said, "I'll be right back. This is just keep on doing what you're doing," and I was gone. And he just kept on doing what he was doing, and like he fixed me up when he fixed me up, but I was gone for a while as well too. But that's the last time I remember going, and I don't remember anything at that time, but I do remember going, and that was it. That's the last conscious remember. So I came back as well too from that. I don't know what happened with regards to the finances after that, but yeah, that was a different trip altogether. I'm pretty sure that I don't know what happened with regards to that. That was a pretty big company at the time. And I don't know if it made headlines or not. But I don't know what happened with regards to that. I don't know if they got sued. I don't know if it got settled. I don't know. But yeah. And that's another one. So yeah. And that's who I am. And that's my story.